How has the focus been? I know you talked about after the game the importance of not letting one turn into two.
And one of our team goals this year that we talked about as a program is a 1-0 philosophy, which means at the end of the game you got 24 hours to celebrate what you did or to focus on what you need to improve on. And at the end of that, we have our team dinner Sunday night to put it away and move on. And the leadership council started Sunday morning. I mean, they were texting everybody on the team and moving on. And I thought our focus was excellent, So, I mean, I think that's something that obviously we went through last year. The guys have talked a lot about in the locker room as far as just moving on to a new week and new focus and new opportunity.
You mentioned B.J. Hill. Is that unusual for his personality? Did that surprise you at all?
It's not in the locker room. I don't think, in front of people he doesn't know. He's not an outspoken guy, but with his teammates, when he talks, people listen, and he doesn't say a lot, but usually when he says something, it's like he did, I mean, he was the one that sent the message out, 24-hour rules in effect, guys, and it's our job to go out there and win the game next week. Let's make sure we do that.
Were you curious to see which guys would step up and fill that void? Do you want to see which seniors or older players would emerge? You
kind of knew who it would be. It's always interesting to see the guys that weren't that way before, and then they become seniors and they feel that clock running out on them, and you see different things emerge. And he's one of them. I think Tony's become more vocal. And I know Tony's vocal around you guys, but he hasn't been that way with his teammates. And he was great this week talking to the O-line.
How's Mike Stevens progressing?
He was out there yesterday because we had Indy yesterday and went through it. And today he's, recovering, and we're hopeful that he'll go through everything next week. They're just going to move him in slowly, and progress him. So he got through Indy. Next week they'll add on to Skelly, and if he does a good job with Skelly, they'll move him into team reps and with the goal of playing him, in next week's game.
So still progressing the way you guys are hoping?
Yeah, that's the goal right now, and I saw him this morning. He felt great. I mean, his muscles were sore, which you expect, but that's what happens when you don't do any, football for a couple of weeks. But he's doing really well.
Is Big T able to play 60, 70, 80 snaps?
We hope so. And that's what we need. He missed camp, which he didn't have the opportunity to get into football shape. And so he's been practicing for the last 2 weeks. He looked really good yesterday and today. He struggled on Tuesday, just conditioning-wise because how many plays we run. But he was excellent yesterday and today. So each day he'll keep getting in more and more shape. And starting at right tackle, obviously, so we feel like he's ready to play.
Between Mike's injury and Will's suspension and then the other suspensions, do you feel more settled this week, and also knowing that you will definitely have Will back next week and perhaps Mike next week?
Well, next week we'll be adding guys in. This week we're still without him, so I think we know where we're at. We know what we have. The good thing, I think, is that the young guys that played, Witt played 90-some snaps, Sculthorpe played 90-some snaps. Guys like Isaiah Stallings got their first game reps. They're going to be better in week 2 because I know it doesn't matter how prepared you are. You're going to be nervous in your first college game. And so I think we'll see great improvement out of those guys that played in their first game last week into this week. Your veteran players that played a lot of football, but and then depth-wise, you get a bounce next week. You get to add in, and that'll help us because we're thin at both of the spots you mentioned, so it helps to gain some depth back.
Has it been more difficult for you? It does seem like there's been more things that you've had to deal with discipline-wise than in years past.
I think the one incident, it's taken a lot of my time, but it hasn't distracted our football team, and the fact that they were freshmen that weren't going to play in the game anyway didn't disrupt our depth, And so that part of it, from a locker room standpoint, it was not a disruption. From a coaching standpoint, obviously when there's things like that I have to deal with, it takes time away from what other things that you could do. So it's just part of the deal. Every day you got a new opportunity, a new challenge, and you got to figure out the best way to handle it. And I feel like I've done that with our coaches, with our players, and you just got to keep working through it.
And with Will, that was something you said you knew about in the spring, so obviously you had prepared for.
Correct.
How do you feel Reggie and Naheem complemented each other?
I think they're great as far as from a defensive standpoint. You got one guy that can really run that's shifty and runs hard, and another guy that's a real downhill runner. And so those plays that they're in on are the same plays, but they fit differently at times because of how they see them as running backs. And I like that rotation. I think it gives us something. And You know, whether it's short yardage or first down, second down, even third down, the different things they can bring out of the backfield create opportunities for Eli from a play calling standpoint.